The Legend of Zelda 40th anniversary. Nintendo has not talked about anything just yet, but I do feel that there are big plans for this storied franchise. And in this video, we're going to go over every single reason why I think something's going to be happening and what could happen based off of things in the past. But before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell because we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you got to do to enter is just drop a comment below. Once we hit 150,000 subs, we will be giving that away. So drop a comment, let me know what your favorite Zelda game is and what you think of the video after you're done watching here. Okay, let's jump into the Legend of Zelda 40th anniversary and what's going to be happening here. I'm super excited as somebody who's been playing the Legend of Zelda since the beginning, the original Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I've been playing a long time, so I want to see what they're going to do. But I do think that the reason why they haven't said anything just yet is because they're still finishing off the Mario anniversary. That's something that fans also have to realize, is that they don't want to confuse the two. They don't want to cross over into the two just because there's a lot of stuff that you have to do for anniversaries, especially big anniversaries. You have to talk about the movies that are coming up. You have to talk about the different stuff with the plans and the marketing and all the different collaborations. There's a lot. The Mario anniversary had a ton of stuff, and of course the new Mario Galaxy movie is huge right now. The ticket sales or pre-release ticket sales are looking at 160 million for like the first number of days, so it seems like it's going to be a massive event with the Mario Galaxy movie. After 2023's Super Mario Bros. Movie, I can pretty much just say, yeah, it's going to be a pretty big movie, over $1 billion plus in revenue when it comes to box office ticket sales. So I do think that this one's going to be a big thing here, and they've already had a number of different games and a number of different anniversary stuff that they've done with like toys and all of that. There was just so many different things, so I think that they didn't want to interfere with that because those two do kind of overlap a bit. So I think that they wanted to get out of that, get the marketing, give their people some time to get that going, and then of course boot up something with the Legend of Zelda anniversary later, after they're done, after they've collected pretty much everything when it comes to the Mario anniversary, and even a game like Yoshi and the Mysterious Book for May 21st. That's also part of the Mario universe. So I think getting all of that situated and settled with, and then moving on to what's happening here with the Legend of Zelda is probably the best bet. Now, I do think that they want to align more. So when we do get information on the Legend of Zelda 40th anniversary, I think they want to align it more with the movie, because the movie is dropping next year. And one of the things that they did with the Mario movie was that they had a lot of announcements and different directs, multiple directs for like the movie. So they were really leading into it, trying to get people excited. Once again, a lot of collaborations. I think they want to do the same thing with the Legend of Zelda, but once again, they have the Mario stuff, so they can't start talking about all of that while they're doing Mario things, because that's huge. So I do think that they want to have Legend of Zelda movie directs. They want to have tie-ins. They want to have collaborations. They want to have all of that stuff beforehand, and they want to make sure that everything's all set up. So I think that they are going to do that as well. They are going to have a lot of Legend of Zelda collaborations and Legend of Zelda maybe clothing and Legend of Zelda this and that. I think it's all going to happen at some point and tie things into the movie and also games. So let's talk about the games, because that's always important. So older games getting remastered, this is something that people have talked about as well. I think that obviously you can look at stuff like Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. People have been asking and have been begging for that for like a decade now. Since it came out on the Nintendo Wii U, we have had no re-release of that game. That was back in 2016. So yeah, it's been pretty much a decade, or going on a decade, since that game released on the Wii U, which was a failing piece of hardware. But the Nintendo Switch one never got a real release for the game. No type of digital re-release or remaster or remake or anything. And the Nintendo Switch 2 already got Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Now that was on the NSO, so maybe they could do the same thing here with the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, put that on the NSO. But they have two perfectly good HD copies of the Legend of Zelda with updates and with additions that make the game better. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, that's also a Wii U game that came out back in 2013. That's still ready to go. The GameCube version is not the exact same. There's a lot of upgrades and improvements when it comes to the HD version of the game. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, once again, a lot of updates and improvements for the HD game. They're both well received, but I do feel that some people felt that Wind Waker HD was a little bit better when it comes to what they added. But people still want Twilight Princess. People still want to play and go back and do that on official Nintendo hardware with the newest hardware, with the hybrid hardware, with the Nintendo Switch 1 and Switch 2. So we'll see if they do something like that. But I would guess, considering what everyone said at this point, I know it's been a long-standing rumor and it hasn't happened yet, but I do think that we'll finally get some type of double pack for The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. And I think they're going to do it potentially like they did Super Mario Galaxy. That's also another parallel. Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, both of those games put together on one cartridge for $70. I can see them doing that with Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. So we'll see about that. I do think that there could be some new remake announcements. It's been a while since we've gotten a big Zelda remake. We did have Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. That was pretty awesome to get that. And then they also have the Switch 2 patches for Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom last year, alongside The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So there was a lot of Zelda goodness even last year. But I think that this year they're going to announce maybe another new remake or so. People are looking at potentially the Minish Cap or Oracle of Ages and Seasons. I think one of those games definitely gets remade or remastered as well. Now, I think all of this could lead into the big announcement outside of the movie, because that's going to be huge, but the big announcement for the next major Zelda game. And some people might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't that a little bit too early? And I'd say yes, because Tears of the Kingdom came out back in 2023. We're in 2026. That's only 3 years. But I will say this, Nintendo has been known for announcing the next Legend of Zelda game well before it's ready. They've pretty much done this with almost every single Legend of Zelda game in the last decade or so, where they do announce the game multiple years ahead of time, and then over the course of time, it's like, yeah, it's coming. As we might have to wait a year or 2 years or even more, like even most recently with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That was announced in 2019, didn't drop till 2023. Now, I don't think Nintendo wants to replicate that. I think that they're gonna have it a bit more shorter in terms of the announcement to the release, but I can see them announcing the game, saying, hey, look, we are working on the next major Legend of Zelda game, and put up like a splash screen and just say a brand new game in the Zelda universe exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 is now in development. I can see them saying something like that, like they did with Metroid Prime 4, like they've done with various other big core games, to get people excited and just to let them know. Nintendo always just likes to let people know when it comes to The Legend of Zelda, even if the game isn't ready anytime soon. And I mean soon as in within the next like 6 months to a year. Even if it's going to be outside of that, I do think that Nintendo likes to let people know about Legend of Zelda, because they've done it so many times. Even Twilight Princess, there was various other games where they would just announce them when it comes to Zelda, and it wouldn't be ready for the next year or so. I know Skyward Sword was announced, so they had that little drawing with Miyamoto, and it took like the whole generation, like the whole Wii generation, before we got it towards at the very end in 2011. So I don't think it's going to be that extreme, like a Tears of the Kingdom or like a Breath of the Wild even, because Breath of the Wild, I think that was 2014, and then it didn't come out till 2017, but they did delay it so it can come out on the Nintendo Switch 1, so they had to make some tweaks and all that. But I do think that they're going to announce something major with the next Legend of Zelda. And I also have a little announcement that I want to do too, which I think is going to be fun. I'm going to be having some cool Zelda videos that are quite different than what I do. So look out for that. More details as I kind of finalize some of that Zelda stuff. But I want to celebrate the Zelda 40th anniversary as well with some cool content on the channel. But yeah, those are my thoughts when it comes to the next big Legend of Zelda game. Now, when could Nintendo do all this, and how's it going to be packaged? Well, here's what I think. I think that since Nintendo did something with the Mario 40th anniversary, which was huge, they had it in a Nintendo Direct where Mr. Miyamoto came out and talked about all these different things that they're doing with Mario. They had a huge segment on that. They had it to where it was like 20 minutes in a Nintendo Direct last year. So I think they can do the same thing here with The Legend of Zelda, where they put together a big package and assortment of content and things for The Legend of Zelda, and then talk about that. Now, will it be at the next Nintendo Direct? I'm not so sure about that. I think maybe they would wait for the fall Nintendo Direct and kind of package everything and tie it more closer into when the movie's going to drop. But you never know. They could do it when it comes to the next Nintendo Direct, whether that's sometime March, April, May, whenever they have their next Nintendo Direct, because there's usually going to be one in the first half of the year, then one in the second half of the year, at the bare minimum when it comes to big Nintendo Directs. Sometimes they have 3 of them, where there's one in like the spring, there's one in the summer, and there's one in the fall. But for the most part, we know that they usually have 2 big Nintendo Directs in a year at the minimum. So I do think that they could package the Zelda announcements and Zelda stuff that's happening into a segment within a Nintendo Direct. They could also just have a Zelda Direct where they go over everything and they just drop it as, hey, check this out, guys. On this day, we're going to have a Zelda 40th Anniversary Direct. We're going to go over the latest information on Zelda content. There's a variety of ways that Nintendo can do this. They've done so many different ways of announcing anniversaries, even like with big games. Like Mario, they also had like the Mario Direct, where it was pretty much all Mario stuff back in 2020 for the 35th anniversary. I think it's one of those things to where there's a variety of ways that Nintendo can tackle it. I think that they're looking at all sorts of ways in order to get that done. And I think that they're also looking at the rest of their lineup. A lot of the other games that are coming out or what could be coming out, I think that ties into what they're going to do. If they maybe want to share the spotlight or not, and how they want to get people into watching the movie or picking up some of like the toys or some of the other things, or just getting excited for the games that are coming, remasters, remakes, new releases. All of that kind of ties into exactly how Nintendo's going to handle this. So I'm excited to see where it's going to go and how it's going to happen, because I do feel that there's going to be something huge here with The Legend of Zelda, and we're just going to have to wait, because it's going to be sometime this year. Obviously, Nintendo's not going to go the whole year without having something to talk about. I'd be shocked if they did that, if they went the whole year this year in 2026 and didn't have a single Zelda 40th anniversary discussion or plans or games to talk about or discussion with the movie. Like, there's going to be something, because they need to start the advertising for the Zelda movie, and I think they want to tie everything in, but not before they're finished talking about the Mario Galaxy movie and the Mario 40th anniversary, like finishing off with stuff like that. So what do you guys think when it comes to everything that I talked about here with The Legend of Zelda, the 40th anniversary, what Nintendo could possibly be doing? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content, Zelda content, and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.